Following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangi coming to you with what will hopefully be a successful review, and tonight we are going to be taking a look at the Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Walmart exclusive Netflix Sparkless Bot. So yeah, this figure is based on the one of the characters from the Transformers Netflix Siege series, where it's been a while since I've watched the Siege series, so I can't remember how they were brought about, but basically the Decepticons launched an attack that caused the lifeless bodies of Transformers that were already deceased to come back half alive as zombies, and that's what the Sparkless Bot is. It's basically a reanimated corpse that's a zombie, and a lot of Transformers fans and collectors apparently are into zombies because the Sparkless Bot, because there's one screenshot in the Netflix series where there's up to 10 of it on screen at once. There were different body types used for the Sparkless Bot. Hasbro and Tomy decided to use the mold that was originally used on Siege Prowl. The Sparkless Bot itself is actually more straight up repaint of Siege Barricade, since it has the same head sculpt as Barricade and has the same accessory pieces that were given to Barricade. So the Sparkless Bot is a potential army builder, and that's why, even though it did shelf warm for a brief moment after it was released in Wave 2 of the Netflix line, it's now starting to disappear from the shelves of Walmart stores here in the United States, just like the other Netflix Wave 2 deluxe figures. But yes, it's generally been a well-received action figure by Transformers fans and collectors who are also into zombies. But yeah, here's a close-up of the Sparkless Bot. I apologize for my camera picking up on any reflection of it. But yeah, there's the Sparkless Bot. There's the head sculpt. It's the same one that was used on the Siege versions of Smokescreen and Barricade. And as I said, the Sparkless Bot comes with the same accessories as Barricade. So it's more a straight up repaint of Barricade out of all the uses of this mold. And the Sparkless Bot is, to my knowledge, the fifth use of the Siege Prowl mold. So that's pretty much it. So you got your generic logos here on the box: the War for Cybertron Trilogy logo, the Transformers logo, which is the word Transformers, the Generations logo, Karatomi. Whoops, sorry for moving it the wrong way. Hasbro, a suggestion on which age group can buy this thing. And here's an image of the Sparkless Bot, and I believe that is a recycled black and white, mostly black and white. It's like a grade version of the artwork that was used on Siege Barricade. To my knowledge, it is. Here on the top of the box. Interesting enough, the Sparkless Bot, even though this is another reason why it's evidence that it's a straight up repaint of Barricade, is that it has a Decepticon logo on here. But apparently, in order to show that the Sparkless Bot is actually a factionless Transformer, being a lifeless corpse that's been brought back half alive as a zombie, the Sparkless Bots can be both Decepticons and Autobots, since there's an Autobot logo here on the top of the box. So yeah, the Sparkless Bot doesn't have any faction symbols on it, and it's a rarity when Hasbro and Tomy release a Transformers action figure that doesn't have any faction logos on it. So the Sparkless Bot is, I believe, one of only two Transformers characters that doesn't have any faction symbols printed on the surface of it, the other being Kingdom Dinobot. Here on this side of the box, you've got the poster image for the Kingdom line that's been done in black, white, and red. And for the Netflix line, you have the authentic Transformers logo. On the bottom of the box, you've got the barcode and disclaimers. Just coming around here to the back of the box, here is the official product photos of the Sparkless Bot. There it is in robot mode and vehicle mode. And I love this idea that Hasbro and Tomy came up with for the Sparkless Bot's paint job. In the Netflix series, the Sparkless Bots, when they were brought back to life as zombies, their bodies were rusted over to show that they were in fact dead and there was no life to them. And so the Sparkless Bot's been given this like rusty reddish brown paint job all over, and I just really enjoy that. It transforms back and forth between robot mode and alternate mode in just 15 steps. I forget what that purple symbol right there is. I believe it's to show that the Sparkless Bot is a deceased robot that used to be a part of the Cybertron's major cities. And again, as I said, and even though the Sparkless Spot on the box says that it's being advertised as a Decepticon, again, since it has an Autobot logo here on the top of the box, it's basically Hasbro and Takara saying that you don't really know which side of the battlefield, which side of the Transformers War the Sparkless Bots were when they were alive, since they're now zombies. And it doesn't really matter. Just like in television shows and movies about zombies, the Sparkless Bots in the Netflix series just stomped around and instantly rusted any living Transformers that came into contact with them. So yeah, they proved themselves to be a real menace. The Sparkless Bot here is one of only two figures that is a Sparkless Transformer. The other is not called the Sparkless Seeker. It's a Voyager class figure. I don't have the Sparkless Seeker yet. I'm hoping I'll be able to get it one day. But yeah, the Sparkless Bot, for being a straight up repaint of Siege Barricade and being mold mates with the Siege Dots and Transformers, Hasbro and Takara I feel did a pretty good job with it. So without further delay, we'll get this thing unboxed and take a close look at it in robot mode. Alright, so here's the Sparkless Seeker out of its box. Yes, I decided to army build the Sparkless Bot by getting 2 copies. I would have gotten more, but then I thought to myself, this thing is technically it's supposed to be a zombie, and when it's not reanimated, it's basically a lifeless corpse, so it's just supposed to lay down flat on the ground like that. And for those of you wondering, in the thumbnail, I try to get the Sparkless Bot into some kind of zombie walking pose where it has one arm raised in the air, which is typically most of the muscle that zombie Transformers go into. But yeah, pretty much since this thing is a zombie, it's a corpse that's been brought back half alive. The Sparkless Bot's main paint job is like a rusty reddish brown, and the rest of the parts that aren't rust are just like this dull gray. Here's a close up of the Sparkless Bot's head sculpt, trying to get it entered in the camera. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's just like a dulled gray 8-color scheme, and it's done to mimic the fact that this Transformer is no longer alive. I've one thing that I do know that I have noticed on the image on the back in the product photos of the Sparkless Bot, which are of the prototype version of the figure versus the final product. The plastic that was going to be used on the windows for the vehicle mode were originally supposed to be more of a crystal clear plastic color scheme, but then Hasbro and Takara decided to make it a darker, smoky gray color scheme, and I think that works out better for the Sparkless Bot. So, turning it around, all the parts on the Sparkless Bot that are this rusty reddish brown, and which is the main paint job, you can see it here on the chest. It's all paint, and the plastic that the Sparkless Bot is made of is this right here. It's like this generic gray, and it's not like a gunmetal gray or a silvery gray, which is used on action figures of Megatron. This is a very dull gray color scheme. The only Transformers action figure I can think of that intentionally used that dull gray color scheme was the original 2007 movie deluxe class figure of Autobot Jazz. But this dull gray, it's one of those colors that, as its name implies, dull. It's a color scheme that most people don't get too much enjoyment staring at all the time. And that's pretty much it. Since the Sparkless Bot is mold mates with Siege Prowl and Barricade and the Siege Dotson Transformers, Sparkless Bot's the 5th use of the mold. It was first used on Prowl, it was also used on Barricade, and it was also used on Smokescreen and Blue Streak, so articulation's the same. The head can rotate left and right 360 degrees since it's on a ball joint. The reason why I keep saying that the Sparkless Bot's a straight up repaint of Barricade out of all the other previous version of the Dotson Transformers is because The Sparkless Bot comes with the same accessory pieces as Barricade. It's got the two smaller shoulder cannons, and it's also got the light bar siren that came with Barricade. Shoulders can rotate forwards and backwards, left forwards and backwards 260 degrees, but to spin it backwards, you do have to move the door out of the way. Swivel joint in the bicep, but I don't know if it's mold degradation or if it's just this particular copy of the Sparkless Bot. Some of the joints are tight and the others are really loose. You got a hinge joint in the elbow, and the hands rotate at the wrist. Is clockwise and counterclockwise 260 degrees being a swivel joint. You have a waist swivel, and then this is why I say some of the joints are loose and the others are tight. The hip joints are on universal joints, so the legs can go forwards and backwards 180 degrees. And they can go left and right that outwards and in that far, so you can do the splits. But here's the thing: on this universal joint, it's very loose and it almost feels like a swivel joint, and on this joint, it's a very tight ratchet joint, as you can see right there. It's ratcheting a lot, and on this one, yeah, there's practically no ratchet. It feels more like a swivel joint. Speaking of swivel joints, you got swivel joints in the upper part of the thigh, hinge joints on the knee, and on this leg, the hinge joint is really loose, and on this one, not so much. And you do have an ankle tilt. You'll see you can get into a Sparkless Bot into a sprawl-legged pose. So I apologize, I wasn't able to get the other Siege Transformers out for robot mode, but for a size comparison with another Transformers action figure in robot mode, here's the Sparkless Bot next to its Wave Mate. Here is the Netflix Wave 2 Deluxe figure of the Dezius Army drone, which I did a review of the other day. Hey, so yeah, Hasbro and Takara have expanded the Transformers characters, at least in the Netflix series, beyond the Autobots and Decepticons to including zombies and Quintesson on drones. So yeah, the Netflix Wave 2 Deluxe class figures, the Sparkless Bot and the Dezius drone, despite being straight up repaints of previously released Transformers characters, the way they were portrayed in the Netflix series, it was made them unique enough. And since they were both portrayed as being army builders, they did shelf warm for a while when they were first released, but now that it's been a couple of months since they've been out on the market, they're starting to become hard to find Transformers action figures. And even if you don't want to army build them, one copy is pretty nice to have in your Transformers collection. And even though Hasbro and Takara have in recent years started to expand the number of zombies that appear in the Transformers fiction, the Sparkless Bot is one of the ones that is able to pull off the idea of being a zombie pretty well. So without further delay, we will get this thing transformed and see what it looks like in alternate mode. Alright, and here is the Sparkless Bot transformed into its alternate mode of a rusted police car that looks like it's from the junkyard, and not by Planet Junkion standards. No, this is far worse off than Wreck-Gar and the Junkions. This is not useful at all. Oh, and again, I just love the rusted paint job that's been used here on the Sparkless Bot. One gripe I do have is that here on the back section, the tail lights and the back rear section are just the unpainted gray. I guess Hasbro and Takara figured that the vehicle mode was more of an afterthought, since in the Netflix series the Sparkless Bots are just zombies wandering around in robot mode. They don't really transform into vehicle mode. It's been a while since I've watched the Siege series. I can't remember if they actually transformed or not. It does roll on its wheels fairly well. But again, like the other versions of the Siege Dotson mold, you have a hairline of clearance, so the only type of surface that this Transformers figure can roll on is a very flat surface. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the choice of paint that Hasbro and Takara went with, making this the Siege Dotson mold the zombie transformer. So for size comparisons in vehicle mode, Out here it is again with the Deeziest drone. Again, these are both pretty nice Transformers figures, and I think they are pretty decent army builders in their own right. Right. And for one last special size comparison, I will show off the Sparkless Bot with its mold mates. Alright, and so for one last special size comparison in vehicle mode, here is the Sparkless Bot next to its mold mates. It's the Siege Dotson Transformers. We have Barricade, and as you can see here, between in every use of the Siege Dotson mold, there were 4 accessory pieces that came with it. The siren, light bar, a large rifle, and the 2 smaller laser guns. And amazingly, despite 5 uses of the mold, not one version of this mold has had all 4 accessory pieces. As you can see here, the Sparkless Spot and Barricade have the exact same accessory pieces on it, so that's why Sparkless Spot's more a repainted Barricade. And here also we have the original version of the mold, Siege Prowl, and then we have the other 2 uses of the mold, the Siege Blue Streak and Siege Smokescreen, who was actually released in the Generation Selects line. So yes, I don't know if the joints, like some of them being loose and some of them being tight, if that's just something with this particular copy of the Sparkless Bot, or if that's mold degradation that's a universal problem with every version of it. But yes, out of all the uses of the Siege Dotson mold, even though the Sparkless Spot has been released almost 2 years after all the other uses of the mold were released, you can still, I believe, find Prowl and Barricade at decent prices since they were released at mass retail. Smokescreen and Blue Streak might be a little more hard to find, and since they were released as exclusives. But yes, the Sparkless Bot, yeah, it definitely looks like the other Transformers. Definitely looks like what a Transformer of this mold would look like if it was left for dead, rusting away until all life was drained out of it. So yeah, I just really love that paint job of it. And out of all the uses of the Siege Dotson mold, my favorite is still Blue Streak, Barricade and Smokescreen, tied for a close second, and the Sparkless Bot. It's probably my third favorite, and even though Prowl's my least favorite as far as the paint job goes, I still recommend and having every use of this mold as well. So yes, this has been my review of the Transformers Siege Sparkless Bot. Do I recommend getting this figure and adding it to your collection? Absolutely. And if you love zombies, you're gonna love buying this Transformers figure. And if you want it to be accurate to the Netflix series, then by all means, go ahead and try and army build the Sparkless Bot if you can. So until next time, you guys, this has been the TFN and Geek, and this has been my review of the Transformers Netflix Siege Sparkless Bot. Thank you guys all once again. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell icon for notifications. And remember, stay safe, stay healthy out there. Until next time, you guys, Transformer will out. Goodbye, everyone.